He hooked it up, but we were, of course, this is just so big for me. I mean, because I had all these pair shares and whatever, and it doesn't work as well with these. So I was back here, we're talking, and they kept coming back up, and they were like, "You've got to stand by the computer. We can't hear you at all." So
do you need me to move things?
no,
Like if you need to
I
move
just need to. I just don't enjoy standing up here and just yapping at people. So I had like,
Thank you.
We had posted activities and all kinds of stuff. Now on the RSA, the fact that the future teacher has to be in there, is that new for the first and second grade?
No.
So we were supposed to have had a second grade teacher sit in there?
Well, you have your first grade teacher, and who's going to have them in second grade now? Well, you're going to have to know who's going to have them.
I mean,
If you're
we
in a
didn't.
bigger school. Like if you're in a little school, it doesn't matter because
Of course, we also had the reading specialist who, I don't know if that
Right.
counts as not a classroom teacher. I love those books. Have you read these?
I haven't read these two,
Uh-huh.
but we have this one, and we have at my house another one that my girls love, and so I'm Amazoning right
And then looking. Last year I was at the National First Grade Conference and he spoke. And he was so good. He's a really neat person. So
We were in the live streaming room
Yes.
for your other one on reading. Do we supposed to sign a sheet or anything?
no. I can get one. I'll put one out. I had just put one out and it was really just for my information because I'm new. So if I need to find somebody in Broken Arrow, I might just pull those sheets out. But it wasn't anything required by the State Department or Engage. I was just trying to make more contacts around the state. So I may just pass that around.
Yes. Email address if you can't do the QR. I'm getting the email address just so they can.
Or is it not
we can get
working?
She
Or we
can't get it on her phone, so. So is there any way we can send that to them?
Yes,
Yes.
and I
Email it.
I can send this out too.
Oh, okay.
This
could be better.
And then also my cards are out, so I had several
Okay.
people emailing, and I apologize because I'm just new, and by the time I pulled it together, I could not.
She is a newbie. She's.
I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna put these around here.
Is that what you're doing? Just pass it?
Yeah, I'm just gonna put these around. Hey. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna start passing this around. Okay.
I'll take care of that for you.
Okay, you all are welcome to scan. We're going to get started. Yesterday we had a little trouble finishing this session in time. I will tell you, I'm new to the State Department, so I did not have my handouts ready to be printed for this. So they are on this QR code. There are a few pages floating around with the QR code on it. If you can't get it on the QR code, my cards are out. You're more than welcome to email me and ask for them. Yesterday I sent many of them out by email. And they should also be on the State Department website after Engage. They should be putting all of our PowerPoints, and I will send the handouts. The handouts, just to get you started with some activities we're talking about today. Morning meeting, greetings, celebrations that you can do in your classroom for learning. This is a chart to talk about procedures, classroom procedures that you should be teaching, not an exhaustive list, but a list of classroom procedures. And then finally a stop and think sheet that I would use if we were having problems in the classroom. So you can have all of those. And again, just send me an email. Where did our thing go? Okay. So my name is Sharon Morgan. I am the new Director of Early Childhood at the State Department. I started on May 31st. I have 18 years of experience teaching early childhood in Oklahoma City, Putnam City, and Piedmont. So I'm excited to be here. If you all, I know this is for elementary. These strategies should work for all grades. If you are early childhood and you have any questions for me or you need anything from me, please let me know. This is my Twitter, JSKAMorg, so I would love for you to follow me, and I will try to send updates that way too. Yesterday I kind of want to know about you all. So if this is your first year teaching, raise your hand. Do I have any first year? Okay, so first year people, any 5 years or less? Okay, what about 6 to 10? Very good. Anybody over 10? Yay, this was like this yesterday. I was so excited to see all these veteran teachers in here. Okay, and then pre-K? Do we have any pre-K teachers? Okay, kindergarten, first, second. First is my favorite. That's what I did. Second, third, fourth, and fifth. Okay, so we have a range in here. All right, very good. Okay, let's see what time is it. All right, here's what I'm going to do, and this worked out very well yesterday. We don't have very much time, but I want you to get in your groups at your tables. I know for the people who are sitting together, and I want you to talk just for a couple of minutes about what your favorite classroom strategy is. What is something that you use in your classroom that really works? Because many of you come up with some ideas that I haven't. So I'm going to give you about 2 minutes. So if you'll just get in your group, and when we get done in 2 minutes, I want you to just tell me one favorite thing that really helps in your classroom. Okay, ready? Go ahead and go. I know, it was like this yesterday. And this part took way too long, but I just really like to talk. Yes, I couldn't bring them all.
I love it. And so when I would read that to Ian when he was little, I would say, "No, Ian, no," and he would say, "It's David."
I love those books. Okay, just another minute. Pick your favorite classroom strategy.
For some reason, I don't have the scan thing, so she emailed it to me and texted it to me, and every time I try to open it up, it just comes to all this stuff.
Okay, go back, because we did this yesterday. Okay, try it one more time, and pick Chrome. Pick a different one. Did you try that already?
I didn't try the blue one because I wasn't familiar with that.
Replacing it.
Should I replace?
Yeah. It's like because I know we did this on a
Oh, that's ASOS.
Oh, I have no idea. I'm sorry. I was going to say we did this on a Samsung yesterday, and it was okay. I'm so sorry.
So is there another way that...
Here, if you'll just... Thought I had some more cards sitting out. No, you're fine. We got so much junk in here. You're fine. Here, if you'll just send me an email and just say I need classroom management, I will send it to you.
Thank you so
as soon as I get between it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and come back together in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And I'm going to see if I can have some people to tell us at your table what was something that you felt was your favorite classroom management. Anybody have one that was good over here?
I like the marble jar. At the beginning of the year, you reinforce the positive behaviors you want to see. Place a marble in the jar each time you catch them doing the right thing.
And then, so what do you do when they fill it?
I always had a pizza party.
Pizza party.
Kids.
Very nice. Okay, very good. All right, back here, anybody have a favorite strategy that you used?
I use a point system. All the kids have their names along the edge of the whiteboard, and every time I see someone doing something good or paying attention, I can just quickly turn around and give someone a point.
Give a point, okay.
It's very visual, so everyone
Yes.
sees it, and then when they hit 25 points, they get treasure chest.
Okay, very good, very good. We do I did the same kind of thing. I used tickets, but very good. Yes.
I used Classroom Dojo last year with my second graders, and they absolutely loved it. And the parents, I had 100% feedback with my class, my parents.
Yes.
All my parents were involved. They were all messaging me. The students were interactive. They logged in at home. It worked.
And so, Classroom Dojo, which I haven't used personally, but it's free for teachers. It's a website.
Yeah, and you can actually access it from your phone. So you can, like, I would walk to the bathroom with my students, and I would zap them in the bathroom if they weren't doing what they're supposed to do. So it's free and easy. Just put your phone in your back pocket. You can go outside. You go to the lunchroom. You go to the bathroom. Wherever you were, you had access to it.
That also works if you're in groups.
Yes.
And you've got
Yes,
your phone
you
or
can
your
assign
iPad
groups, too.
beside you something good and you have it up on the Promethean.
Yes.
You do it, it'll go bing, and they're going, you know, and then
Who
it'll
it
show
was?
up on the Promethean, so-and-so got a point 4.
Okay.
You know, and they're like, yeah, she's way over there and I still got it. No.
Okay, very good.
And the thing with it too, though, is if you're like, you have transition classes, say you teach math, you teach 4 different classes of math. While they're in their math, another math, like a reading class, that reading teacher can ding them in your room. And so you can keep track of your homeroom class.
Okay, very good. That is not one I've used personally, but it's called Classroom Dojo, right? D-O-J-O. And you put so that's a good classroom strategy. Anybody up here in this area have a good one? I think people are looking down.
When they get so many, what happens? You just set that as your own thing, like we did a free recess. Okay. 10 minutes.
You
break.
can
And I
choose.
did like individual prizes. I had a treasure box in 2nd grade. So if you got 30 points by Friday, you got out of the treasure box. And then if the whole class got 200 points, we had an extra recess or a movie party or.
Okay. We are live streaming this, so we need to be careful of too much talking in the background so they can hear. Okay, Classroom Dojo. Anybody back here? Anybody have something good? Come on, you guys are much quieter than
Well,
usually.
with early childhood, I've been early childhood for 17 years.
Yes.
And you have to, the dojo, I do that also, but with pre-K, as you know, you have to do an instant. You can't.
Yes.
The marble thing does not work because it's way too far down the road. I do an instant, I get like Cheerios,
Mm-hmm.
one Cheerio, and if the class is talking, I just walk by and say, thank you for being quiet, and it doesn't take that long.
Right.
And every one of them sees it, and they know it, and they, but simple, because with early childhood, it can be instant, you can't delay it.
Yes, that's true. Okay, anybody in this area? Oh, I'm sorry.
Just if you need.
Yeah, this is just a sign-up sheet for me because I'm new and because this just gives me context. It's not a State Department thing, not an engaged thing. Anybody here? Did you all have something that you wanted to share? People are so quiet. What about on this side of the room? Anybody have anything good that?
I'll piggyback off of what she said.
Okay.
Instant. I use cologne for my boys and glitter lotion for my girls.
Yes.
And it's a twofer because your classroom also smells good. So, and
A sticker book also works very well. If you pass that, you give a piece of paper for the kids to have a sticker book, and you just give a sticker they can put on that book, and so they can every day see how many stickers they have.
Yes,
Just
yes.
use them instantly. You can't with me. I've learned you can't.
Yeah, it needs to be. I used to use scented chapstick and I would give them a smelly. Anybody give smellies? I just put it on their hand. Okay, very good. All right, we don't have that long, so I really just sat down and thought about what are the areas in my class that I use in my classroom for management that really help it flow smoothly so I don't have to stop for disruptions. And the important aspects are having an atmosphere of respect. Your students get along and respect one another. They respect you. You all have a good relationship. Also, communicating your behavior expectations. We know that many students don't know exactly how they're supposed to behave. So you need to have those rules in place. They need to know what those rules are and then what are the consequences or the positive rewards of their behavior. And finally, classroom procedures. Those are so important. Starting on the first day, you explicitly teach those classroom procedures. So those are the 3 areas that we're going to talk about today. When I think about my classroom and creating the atmosphere of respect, in 2004 I was working on National Board, and one of those portfolio areas is social studies and classroom community. And I really couldn't explain any way that I promoted a classroom community in my class. I thought I had a good rapport with them, but I really didn't have any strategies to build that. So I went to a friend and she introduced me to the morning meeting book, which is part of the responsive classroom. So we began having a morning meeting every day. Now the meeting can look different ways. I have friends that just do it on Monday or Friday to finish or start their week. We did it every day in class, and this was how we created a classroom community. So hopefully I'm going to show you how this works. Hopefully you can pull some things that you can use in your own classroom. Morning meetings set the tone for respectful learning and establish a climate of trust that encourages children to take risks. You're going to push them harder than you've ever pushed them before. You're going to ask them to do tasks that they've never done before. So they need to know that your classroom is a place where they can take a risk. And if they don't do well, if they have failure, that you're going to support them. The morning meeting addresses 2 human needs: the need to feel a sense of significance and belonging, and also to have fun. We do some silly things during our morning meeting because I tell them if we can't laugh a little bit, we're not going to make it through the year because we're spending a lot of time together. Also, morning meeting merges social, emotional, and intellectual learning. We focus a lot on intellectual learning, but the social and emotional aspects are very important no matter what age. And it just teaches them to have manners. That's part of our job with the morning meeting. So there are 4 elements: the greeting, sharing time, a group activity, and a morning message. So the first one we're going to talk about is the greeting. It sets a positive tone. It provides a sense of belonging. Every student in the classroom is greeted with using their name. It helps them learn names. I kind of have a pet peeve about children that come up to me and say, "That boy in the black shirt was mean to me." Well, we're not a boy in the black. We have a name. We're an important individual in the classroom, so we have to learn those names. And also just practicing hospitality, those manners. So when we do our greetings, I make sure that they use a friendly tone. They use the child's name or my name, and then they make eye contact. And I put an asterisk on the eye contact because we know that some cultures don't make direct eye contact. So I feel like there's a difference between not making direct eye contact and looking all over and not really paying attention. So you just have to decide on that in your classroom. So, I'm still on this one. In my class, I had a morning meeting, a leader, and they had a special spot. And so they would come into the class, they would do all of their jobs, folders, and then they would sit on the perimeter of the carpet, and we would do some different greetings. At the beginning of the year, I would just have them go around the circle and say, "Good morning," and then I'm going to use Cassie over here because you're in front. I would model how to do this, and I would model it eliminating each one of those areas. So first I would come up and I would say, "Good morning, Cassie." Good morning. And we would talk about how I looked at her, I used her name, and I used a nice voice, and that made her feel important. Also, I'm showing respect. But then I would use a not very nice tone. I'd be like, "Good morning, Cassie," like this. And see, even though I looked at her and I used her name, I didn't make her feel important because I was using a mean voice. Also, if I'm saying, "Good morning, Cassie," and I'm looking and paying attention around here, I'm not making her feel important because I'm not really paying attention. Also, if I just say good morning, it's nice, but when we use a name, we're showing respect. So those are the lessons that I want to learn during this time. So at the very beginning, I would just have them go around the circle and just say good morning, and they would say good morning back until we learn names. Also, I have these cards, although you wouldn't have to have these cards, just happen to be from Lakeshare. They're all different languages of the world. So on a smartboard or a map, we might pick one of these, and I would talk about where it is on the map. And then instead of saying good morning, we would use the hello from that language. So we're integrating those social studies skills. And some of these greetings are on those handouts too if you need them. Have you done who stole the cookie from the cookie jar? So we had a cookie and we'd say, "Who stole the cookie from the cookie jar?" "Miss Morgan stole the cookie from the cookie jar." "Who, me?" "Yes, you." "Could it be?" "Then who?" And then we keep passing it. One of my favorite ones is Willoughby Wallaby. Even, I have to say, when we're doing it in my classroom, when I have 4th grade friends come by, they will come and stick their head in. Has anyone heard the Willoughby Wallaby poem? It's also on your handout, but it goes, "Willoughby Wallaby woo, the elephant," and this is a bear because I couldn't bring my elephant on this trip, but "Willoughby Wallaby woo, the elephant sat on you. Willoughby Wallaby wee, the elephant sat on me." And then we do Willoughby Wallaby, I was going to say Mrs. Morgan, the elephant sat on Mrs. Morgan. And we talk about, well, Mrs. Morgan's kind of a funny word, isn't it? We kind of laugh a little bit. Is that okay? And I talk about, I'm not going to get my feelings hurt when we're using silly names and that kind of thing. And then we go around the circles. We do Willoughby Wallaby Wassy, the elephant sat on Cassie, and we just keep passing it around. So that was fun. And then if we would be studying a phonics skill like CH that week, we do Chillaby Challaby. And so that way we're integrating our phonics, you're substituting sounds. Be very careful of rhyming words in that one. P is not a good one to use. And sometimes you have a child's name and I'll just say, just think about how that would go in your own brain. And I just tell them, sometimes we use bad words. So those are some options. So just a warning. So we would come in, do our jobs, get in the circle. My leader would pick a greeting. If you have a smartboard or Promethean board, I use the interactive dice tool, and I just put the greetings on there, and they would just roll the dice, and whatever greeting came up, we would do that one. So it's just a fun way to start to connect before your day begins. And then the next part is the sharing. So we're still sitting in our circle. We've greeted everyone. Now it's sharing time. we develop communication skills with this one, gain knowledge of others. We practice speaking in a group, which is very important. It strengthens vocabulary skills and encourages reading and writing success and builds their confidence. Students who are able to articulate complete sentences about a topic will be your students that are able to write in complete sentences about a topic. So this is really your oral language is going to be the foundation for your writing. Here we go. It is important that everybody gets a chance to share. In my room, the leader shares, so I just have one person a day. If you don't do the morning meeting every day, I know some teachers had a sign-up sheet where they would just have, Friday, 5, and they could sign up, just however your classroom works best. Students who are sharing, we all need to have a chance. They use a clear voice and stay on topic using details. Now, I use this tool in my classroom. If you're younger, you might just be working on a complete sentence or even trying to stay on a topic because, our younger friends will kind of go all over the place. But in our class, this would be our topic sentence, these would be our details, and this was our conclusion. So we would say, my family went to Nashville on vacation. We stayed in a fancy hotel, we went to the Grand Ole Opry, we went swimming, and then I feel like the conclusion is really the most difficult for my students, so I have them either tell their favorite part or their opinion. So we would just say, I really loved going to Nashville. So again, if you're younger, you might just even start with the topic sentence and a detail, and then slowly add on. But then when I'm doing my writing instruction, we can use this same model. When we're writing, we have an introduction, and then slowly, especially if you're older, each one of these details could be more of a paragraph. So along with doing this morning meeting, we are doing a daily review. We are integrating academic skills. After my leader shares, we talk about audience skills, how everybody else needs to be listening carefully. I allow my leader to call in 3 people to ask questions. The questions have to be appropriate. They're supposed to be about whatever the topic was, because they'll talk about their vacation and somebody's asking what they had for dinner last night. We try to stay on topic. And then in my class, they're not allowed to ask a yes or no question. It must be open-ended. You can't just say, did you have fun? Yes. It has to be, what was your favorite part? So those types of questions. So we do greeting, we do sharing. Okay, and then, hopefully you can see this one okay. This is my friend Peyton. So just looking at this picture, what do you know about her? Likes horses. I don't know if you can see it from here. She also has a bear. I'll talk about that bear. She came to my class, very quiet. She could speak, but very, very shy. She wouldn't talk to me. If I talked to her, it was just a one-word answer. And she did not enjoy the morning meeting. She was not one that wanted to get up there and share. So we really had to work on that. But through the morning meeting, I learned that she loves horses. She was very good at horse riding. This was her talent. So just knowing that information when we were doing writing, and she didn't want to do it because it was difficult for her, I said, you need to write about horses because this is what you know. So that gave her the motivation to do it. The rest of the class was so excited because she knew about horses. They didn't. So that really helped to build her confidence and also her academic achievement because we were using what she was interested in. So that's just one way that the morning meeting helps impact student learning, is because I hope that I would have figured this out just in a normal classroom time, but I'm not sure I would have. So I used their interest in class. A couple years ago, I had a very athletic group. We had rosters in our writing center. We had team names in our writing center. All information I usually get from here. The next aspect of the morning meeting is group time. This was our classroom teddy bear. I have a classroom stuffed animal every year. Last year, I just took pictures of the 3 cheapest bears at Build-A-Bear, and I put their pictures up, and on Meet the Teacher, I let them vote for which one they wanted to be our class pet or animal. And then on the first day, they found out what it was, and then we named it. It's in a backpack with a journal, so it went home with a different student every night. So part of our morning meeting was reading the journal from the night before. So Peyton had gotten to take home, this was our bear champ that year, and he went to writing lessons with her, and we talked about that. So that's just an example of how it can impact students in the classroom. So we've done our grading, we've shared, and the group activity, just a little activity encourages a sense of community, Everybody's actively participating, encourages cooperation and inclusion. I actually had special needs friends that would come into my class just for this time because they were interacting, they needed those social skills. So inclusion, varying abilities, and reinforces learning. This happens to be my class, and they're singing a song about continents. There's a continent map up there because that's what we were studying at the time. It didn't take a very long time. It was just a song. You could use a poem. Just like any procedure, you want to introduce the rules, model, practice, repeat gradually. I would let my leader really take care of all those procedures. They would be in the front. They would be modeling. Some ideas, you could do songs, you could do poems. We played mystery number where somebody picked a number, like the leader would pick a number and they would guess the number and they had to say greater than, less than. You could do a matchup game depending on your grade level. You could pass out rhyming cards and they would have to find their partner and then tell the class they're rhyming or back practice or whatever. Have you ever played the game Headbands? Okay, it's just a cheap game you get at Walmart. It just has a headband, you put a card in it. We did headbands all the time. We would put sight words in there, vocabulary words, pictures from our story, and then the leader would have to ask questions and figure it out. We played a game called Act It Out, just like a charades game where we pick up a card and the kids would have to act it out. So just simple, didn't take a lot of materials, but it was reviewing what we were learning in class. So we do our greeting, we share, we do a little activity, and then finally, before we transition into our day, we had a morning message. I use the morning message quite a bit to reinforce grammar, writing skills. You can use it to share upcoming events, your transition into your day, reinforces language and math skills in a meaningful way. This could also, depending on your level, you could do calendar activities at this time, class jobs, we read our lunch menu and those kinds of things. Here's an example of a morning message that I might do. I mean, it's a letter, so we're learning the parts of the letter. Because I always taught younger grades, it would take us all day to write the entire date. So I would just take a piece of the date out. So they were just focusing on one area. If you were pre-K, you might even just take off the first letter and they could just do the beginning sounds. Their name, this one would of course be younger, how old, her favorite color is, they would write it because, and they would have to come up with a reason. We would write this together. I would have the leader write it, but we would be talking about spacing, spelling, phonics, all of those. You could add something about whatever science or social studies topic or math topic that you're learning. Keep this one simple. When I did it, I have a different leader every day, so it would take me, 25 days to go through the class, so I might have the same sentence frame for every single child, and then when it was their turn to be the leader, they would fill it in. I've also read blogs where they have a morning message for the entire week, so you could write it on Friday for Monday. Monday, maybe you correct it. Tuesday, you look at the sight words. Maybe Thursday, you do vocabulary, something like that, and just practice it. So make it simple and easy, nothing that would take too much time. Okay, so I went through that pretty quickly because anybody have any questions, ideas? But that was a way that we created an atmosphere of respect. When I started doing that in my classroom, it was really, it transformed us because it just made us a stronger group. Yes?
Now, about how many minutes? Because I tend to just go right
Oh,
to our...
that's true. That was a big question yesterday. I mean, really, once I teach the procedures and I have my leader moving it along, it didn't take me more than 15 minutes. Depending on, my group time activity or that kind of thing, but about 15 minutes. Okay, so behavior, learning, and expectations. We need to have our rules. So we're building our classroom community, we're building those relationships, and then we have our rules. Now, I've read some different research on this. I believe that creating rules together in collaboration with your class really gives them ownership of the rules in their classroom. I have read research that said as the teacher, you need to be in charge of those. So, you make a decision. I think creating the rules together gives them ownership of the rules. Make sure to just talk about why we have rules. I brought the day the monster came to school. Have you heard that story? Okay, have you all, okay, give me your hands, because I won't read it if you, have you heard that one? Let's see if I can find it. This is an old story. You can find it on YouTube. And then this one's just from Teachers Pay Teachers. But we read this story at the beginning, and it talks about why we have rules. Another story I like to use, David's some of our favorites, about why we have to have rules in class. What time is it? So I'm going to read this story. It's pretty quick. And then when we get done, I'm going to have everybody think about what you think the 4 most important rules of a classroom are, and we'll talk about it. So this is the story, and I would be reading it to my class on the first day. It says, when Andy got on the bus the first day of school, he saw a monster and was very surprised. He did not know that monsters were allowed to go to school, but there the monster was. It was making all kinds of noise and would not sit down. It climbed on the seats and put its head out the window. It took up so much room that Andy had no place to sit. Wow, that monster sure is noisy. I bet it isn't even supposed to be here, Andy whispered to Vivian. But Andy's teacher was not at all surprised to see the monster enter the classroom. It pushed ahead of everyone, grabbed a box of toys, and dumped them on the floor. When Andy and the other children sat at their places, the monster started to throw the toys. Stop that, cried the teacher. Even monsters aren't allowed to throw toys. The monster dropped the toys and started screaming. It screamed so loudly that no one could hear the teacher. Be quiet, the teacher finally said. The monster stopped screaming, and the teacher said, it is time to play outside. Everyone stood up and walked out the door. Walked to the door, everyone except the monster. It ran out the door without waiting for directions. Outside, the monster continued to behave like a monster. It pushed some children and took toys from others. It climbed up the slide the wrong way and sat at the top so no one else could slide down. When the students returned to the classroom, the teacher tried to read them a story, but the monster shouted and laughed, and no one could hear. Then it pulled the toys off the shelves again. It would not listen. At lunchtime, the monster grabbed other people's sandwiches. It dropped food on the floor and spilled milk. Later, when it was time to paint, the monster ran around the room, painting big black lines on the children's paintings. When the children formed a circle and tried to sing, the monster jumped around and stepped on their toes. It pounded the piano until the teacher had to close it. At rest time, the monster laughed and talked and poked the children. Come here, said the teacher, who was finally very angry. You are a real monster. Monsters are not allowed in school. Go away and never come back. And do you know what happened? The monster burst into tears. Everyone was astonished. I'm sorry, cried the monster. I've never been to school before. I did not know it was against the rules to shove and run and push, or to grab and throw things. Please don't tell me I can't come back. I like school and will try to learn if you will help me. The teacher asked the children what they thought. The children decided to make a list of rules. They would let the monster stay if it followed the rules. The monster promised he would try his best. So after we get an idea of what happens in the classroom when you don't have rules, I sit down and we talk about the rules. So I'm going to give you just a minute. If you have a Post-it note or paper, just write down what you think the 4 most important rules of the classroom would be. Okay, so give us one rule. Somebody tell us a rule that you wrote down.
Keep your hands and feet to yourself.
Hands and feet to yourself. That's a big one. What was another one? Being respectful. What else can you think of? Okay.
Always listen when the teacher's talking.
Listen. And that one I have noticed doesn't always come up when you're asking students what they think the rules are, so we always make sure that one goes in. Anybody else? No running.
Use a quiet voice.
Quiet voice. I mean, those are the main ones that you're going to get. If you were older, sometimes what we would do is I would have them write 4 rules on Post-it notes, and then we'd group them together, and then we'd make our rules from that. When you're in younger grades, you really can't do that. So when I'm in a younger grade, I ask them what we should be doing in their classroom. Otherwise, they get a whole list of do not push, do not. So I say, what should we be doing? And then I just help them. Well, these things sound the same. Let's make this rule. You need to make sure that your rules are clear, complete, and consistent there. Everybody understands them. They should include all behaviors. If a child is not doing the right thing, you should be able to connect that with a behavior rule in your classroom, and be consistent as best you can. I always say, when you all who are wonderful teachers sitting here in the summertime doing professional development, you may be thinking of the one time that you let Johnny just go under the table and eat his crayons because you just couldn't take it for another moment. And those kinds of things happen. Those things happen, but even your most difficult students, they really want to know that you care enough about them to make them follow those rules. Has anyone heard of PBIS? Anybody use that system? Okay, it's also on the State Department website. It's part of Otis. If you use RTI, which is a tiered intervention system, this is just a behavior tiered intervention system. So the way it looks at our school is we have, it suggests that you use some kind of a word or the 3 R's. In our school, it was pride rules. That was the same for all of the school. P meant prepared, R meant respectful, I for integrity, D for discipline, and E for effort. And then in our classroom, we talked about what those meant. So prepared means be ready, respectful means be nice, integrity means do the right thing even when no one's watching, discipline means use self-control, and effort means try your best. So that's what we did. We said those every single morning at the morning meeting. I mean, they could say them in their sleep. I had them posted in my classroom. I had these in frames, so as Mrs. Morgan's class has pride, and then I had each one of the letters going down so it spelled out pride. I also, could do this on a poster or a frame, I would have them sign the frame with a dry erase marker to give them ownership. Okay, if you are willing to follow these rules, I need you to sign your name. I used to do it with a laminated poster, however you want to do that. And this is more school-wide, so you would have to talk to your administrators, but we had pride rules for every area of our school. So this was a chart we had in our classroom. This was our class and how we define those. This is how you would show pride in the bathroom, cafeteria, hallway, playground, and your arrival and dismissal times. So it didn't matter what student I was talking to or if they were in my class or not, I could say, I want to see pride, and they would know what that meant. Something else that we implemented last year, maybe you all do this, that helped, is, on the first day of school, you're teaching all those procedures, and it's so overwhelming that you have all these procedures in your classroom, and then you go to the cafeteria, and by the end of the day, you've forgotten something, and so-and-so's getting in trouble because I forgot to mention this rule. We had a different specialist person teaching each one of these procedures outside of the classroom. So I would be in my classroom, then our class would go to the bathroom, and our counselor would teach the rules of the bathroom. Then we go to the cafeteria, and our principal taught those rules. And then we go to the line, and our counselor taught those rules, and our reading specialist taught the playground rules. That way, it was consistent throughout the school. They were only focused on those rules instead of being the teacher that had to remember all the procedures for all those different areas. So I don't know if that would work for your school, but it was very helpful. School-wide, just made it more consistent. So that's an idea. Any other questions on rules? Anybody do anything different that? Okay, so now to me this is the most complicated part of the rules, is the reinforcing and the consequences. My story, I started back in the day with color cards, and some people still use color cards very effectively. But what would happen is I had my color cards, and they would move them. So if I had, little Susie who always did a good job and messed up this day, I didn't really want to move her color card back because she really was a great kid and you weren't supposed to move them. So I just didn't move it because I just, gave her a warning. But ultimately really undermining my own system because you were supposed to move the card if they didn't do the right thing, but I didn't really want to. So then we did clip charts. And again, I know lots of teachers use clip charts very effectively. My problem, and if you don't know what a clip chart is, it's just a rainbow of colors. They start here, they can move up, they can move down. My problem with the clip chart is I forgot about it. The end of the day would come, I've been teaching all day, I just forgot to move clips. I would move them down, but I would forget to move them up. So I don't know if that is something that happens to you, but I just would forget because we would be involved in teaching. So the way we did it last year that worked pretty well is we had tickets. And I know that some of you, Classroom Dojo I think would be great, points, those types of Those types of reward systems are wonderful. We would give out tickets. And again, one of my problems was I would forget to give out the tickets. The end of the day comes, we've just been in groups. So I gave my friends 3 coins like this that they kept in their desk. And it was just in their desk, not posted anywhere. And if they didn't do the right thing, I would just say, give me a coin. And they would just put it in a little bucket. And then at the end of the day, stinky feet, meaning they didn't have to wear shoes for a day for 10 tickets. I was teaching first grade, so I did 10s, 10, 20, 30, because that's a very important skill. If you were teaching older grade, you might go by 5s. Because it's amazing how they know that they have 8 tickets and they want something for 10, that's only 2 more. So again, reinforcing our math skills. I would also have my leader help facilitate this, so it didn't take as long. They would go over, they would help me count out the tickets. I had coupons in the back, so when they purchased it, just gave them a coupon, and when they were ready, they would bring it back. These were all activities that didn't cost me any money. They could bring a stuffed animal, they could wear no shoes, they could use markers. I don't like markers because I think they're messy, but it's up to you. So they might get markers in their desk for that day. I had special pens of different colors they could use for their work, so it wasn't something that cost me any money. Anybody have, and we talked about Classroom Dojo, anybody have another system? If you're doing PBIS, it's tiered intervention. For the most part, that system will work in your classroom for most of your children. Of course, some of them it will not. I had a few friends who had a little strip on their table, and if I had to give them extra warnings, I did a check mark. I didn't take away recess. I don't think you should be taking away recess, but I would make them do laps at recess, so they were still getting activity, they were still getting a break, but they weren't getting to play. So that's an idea. You may have some other ideas in your classroom that would work. If I had a student that was beyond that, I mean the chair throwing, yelling, we had an intervention team that helped out with interventions. Usually was our counselor, a special needs, and our principal and the teachers, and we would come up with a specific plan that would help that student. Because if you have that student, usually color cards, clip charts aren't working anyway, so we would maybe have a more specific behavior plan for that. Okay, so in your classroom, hopefully you're doing some kind of a morning meeting, you're getting to know one another, you're using your manners, you're showing respect, you know what your rules are, you have consequences and reinforcements for positive behavior. And the final thing is your classroom procedures, which need to be taught starting the very first day. So classroom procedures, routines, and expectations must be explicitly taught, modeled, and practiced beginning on the very first day of school. Never assume students know the procedures. I have a little friend here who I love to death, but he was very bright. And if it wasn't explicitly taught, he figured a way around it. He was the one that said, well, you didn't really tell us to do it that way. Even though we did have discussions about how he was smart enough to really know without me telling him. But he's just a reminder that you need to make sure to be very specific when you're teaching your procedures. So this is kind of modified from Daily 5. I don't know if anyone uses Daily 5. They have 10 steps to independence. Some of them don't apply to all procedures, but you're going to identify the procedure. For example, we're going to turn in our papers right here. We talk about the purpose. We're going to turn in our papers right here so Mrs. Morgan can look over them before they go home. We record the required behaviors. Now, I don't do this for every single procedure, but here's a chart that I use. If it was something small like turning in papers or sharpening pencils, I didn't have a chart. But if it was maybe the writing center or the reading center, iPads, we would have a chart like this in the center. So we would write whatever the procedure, whatever area it was. We would talk about why we were there. Why are we going to iPads? What are we learning? How is that helping? And we would write in here, and then we would make a list of what the student should be doing in that center and what the teacher is doing. So maybe the student is sitting quietly, the student is using the apps that the teacher asked them to use, they're being very careful with the iPad. Maybe the teacher is there to help. Maybe the teacher is helping a small group. That way they know what they should be doing, what I'm doing. We would talk about this for the first couple of weeks. Remember, when you're at the iPads, this is what you should look like. This is what Mrs. Morgan is doing. So I have a little sample of that in those handouts. When you're practicing, after you've recorded what you want to see, have a few friends model Okay, now what does this look like if I'm handing the paper, and have them do it the right way. And then this is the favorite part, have a few friends model it the wrong way. Okay, could show me what we do not want to see when we're passing in the paper, and we love to do that. So we do the wrong thing, and then we practice it, and you go over that. Here's a list also in your packet. Every little thing that you want to see, you need to teach them how to be sitting on the carpet, where to turn things in, what to do when they're finished. Lots of lists like this on Pinterest, that kind of thing. Okay, and there's our QR code again. Is there anybody have any questions, comments? Anything you do? Oh, yes. And again, I made up a little checklist that's in those handouts. If you can't get it from the QR code, you're welcome to come get my email, and I will email it. Okay. All right, and I want to thank everybody for coming. I hope you have a good time. I hope you learned something. I'm here if you have any questions, but you guys have a great day. Thank you. Okay. Are we okay? Oh, you're still looking. Oh. Okay, I'm going to put that on there. Well, good luck this year.
Thank you, ma'am. I need it.
And where are you teaching?
Norwood Elementary, 3rd grade. This is my wife, Mindy Barnett.
I teach 2nd grade at Norwood.
Oh, nice. That's nice. Very good.
Next door.
Yeah.
So you get to blame her when they don't. Oh, the 2nd grade teachers, they never teach them anything.
She's slacking.
I know.
Thank you. We enjoyed it.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, first download you are reader and then just scan that?
Yes.
And I'll get everything?
It should.
You should? Okay. And what were you guys talking about the other handout? Because I wasn't in
Okay, you might have to train up. Sorry, I've been waiting.
Oh, I don't really know what's happening over here. No, I'm in here.
I got 2 hands. It gave you some ideas.
Well, that's what I thought. I thought if you had it back to the board, you got to go begin your starters
No problem. Hey, that's the kind of stuff I do, so probably anybody in here newbie would think I was.
That's totally normal.
I was looking at. That's cute.
Do you realize you're missing the E?
Yes. Do you know what happened there? Everybody was doing the right thing, and the frame smashed on the ground to the point where there was so much. I mean, it was plastic, but I couldn't even. Right. So you're missing the E. And I couldn't find it on my flash drive or anything. Yes.
No, I just want to make sure I knew that. I love like I have a picture of it printed on brown paper, and then so every year I just change the name on the label, and so as they drew and we worked on recognizing everybody's name, so they had to pick or say, oh, Shannon, so they had to.
Oh,
Right here.
if you can't do the QR, right.
Thank you.
Brand did it that way too. It was the same.
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm in the way. away still. Let's just go with the true. Let's see.
So I stood in one spot for 2 hours every day. And so yesterday or Saturday, I threw all my sandals away. I went and bought new ones. And it's a one time it was on flare for about 6 months, and then it's been good. I don't know.
Social studies.
Brenda.
I love it. Who was?
Kurt. Kelly Kurt. He left last year, the Friday before engagement. Brenda Chapman is social studies. And, you know, Michelle. Oh yeah, hey, I felt like friends. All of my kindergarten friends talk about friends instead of students. The first time I have a friend, Carmen, and she teaches kindergarten. And the first time she taught me friend, I was like, we're friends, but we don't usually say we're friends.
I taught them first grade. Yeah. Oh yeah. And I keep that up. I love that.
So I do too. But now I feel like
If you are here for the Oklahoma Standards for Early Childhood, the handouts are on QR code, of course, because I didn't have to. So anyway, I'll pass these. And again, if that doesn't work for you, you're welcome to email me. If you guys can scan it and then pass that page on. I will be sending these in, and they should be on the website after Engage.
Yeah, mine has to, I'm clicking itself if it finds it. There it goes. I gotta get closer.
I'm going to put some booklets with the standards on it, or in it, at your tables. Please do not take these. I only have enough for a session, so I'm just going to pass them out, but please don't take these. I don't actually know if we're gonna be able to have these available or not anytime soon. Oh, I'm sorry.
They are available on the website. You can download them.
Yes, you can print these from the website, but we don't actually have these.
Or I will tell you this, but I'm going to. If you know you're going to be in the city and you want one, you can let someone know if we'll have some and we can get you in there. They were really tight because of printing and.
Yeah, we can.
So, yeah, and there's several ways online. You can do it where you can do it by grade. I don't care. Okay. But these were to say
Oh, there it is. So we're going to focus on cases, right?
Yes. Yes. Pre-K.
Yeah. Dr. Doug Fisher go to UCO. I know that might be kind of a drive, but it's free. He was the one, he writes about text complexity. So we'll have him speak as a keynote, and then also we will have State Departments will do breakout sessions. But it is free. If you all want to do those, I have more of a head spread them out. QR code. There's a few pages floating around with the QR code. Oh, I think yeah. Right, I have what? So I'm getting some more, but I won't have them for today. I have some standards booklets out for you to look at. These I need you to keep in this class because they're the only ones I have for my session. So you can download all this information on the website and print it. Hopefully we'll have booklets available, but I'm not quite sure when.
I'm not the fastest.
That's okay. That's okay. It's kind of a. I wish I could have had them all.
Well, that's still the same one, isn't it? Oh, okay. I thought the other one.
Standard. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go over there. I didn't realize Brenda was over there. She's by herself trying to do ELA standards. Are you good? All right, bye. Okay, I want to welcome everybody to this session. We're going to be talking about the standards. We're going to focus on as they're related to early childhood. So if you, I know some of you were in the last session, but I'm Sharon Morgan. I'm the new director of early childhood at the State Department. I've just been there a few weeks. So if you are early childhood and you have any ideas, things we need to do, something you would like to see from the State Department, this is a great time to grab me and let me know, or send me an email, because I'm new and so we're creating some new things. I took it off. Am I supposed to be live streaming? Okay.
I just gotta make sure we stop during this